thank you all for joining. Again, this is the Backpacking with Kids panel. So hopefully everyone's in the right place, the session you want to be at. But yeah, I think this is going to be really cool and informative. And we have two amazing families here to share their stories of hiking and backpacking with kids. So it's definitely going to be a good time. And I got to preview some of the material ahead of time, and you're in for quite an informative presentation if you're interested in backpacking or hiking with kids, or really with anyone who might just be starting out in their outdoor journey. So I'm Diquan Edmonds. I'm going to be moderating this panel, and before we really dive into the content, I have a few details that I need to just share with everyone as far as the logistics for the panel. So first, looks like everyone is muted, but we're going to ask that you mute for the duration of the panel, and really just rely on that question chat box at the bottom if you have any questions to share, and we'll do our best to address as many as possible by the end of this session. Let's see, next, for the best viewing experience, we're recommending everyone use the speaker view. So if you go to the top right hand corner of your screen, you'll see view, and just click that. And if you want to switch that to speaker view, that's probably going to be the best experience for today. And then lastly, I wanted to kind of just set the ground that we're all logging into this from the comfort of our homes. So please just really excuse any interruptions. I have a dog who likes to run around and bark and squeak her squeaky toy every now and then. So if that happens, please just excuse any background noise, any technical difficulties, cats meowing, anything like that. Just bear with us, and hopefully it won't be too intrusive. So I think that does it for all of the logistical details. And yeah, I'm excited. We can sort of just dive right in to our presentation today. We're going to start with two quick videos from both of our families. You'll see them in the screen when they talk, but we have the El-Genk family joining us, and then also the Wilson family joining us. And both families have been a pleasure to get to know over the process of this, and bring just such good experience that we're really hoping you guys find valuable. So yeah, I think we can go ahead and fire up the videos whenever we're ready.
Here to talk to you about getting started with day hiking as a family.
First, a little bit about us. I'm Hussein, the dad.
And I'm Nashua, the mom.
I'm Zachariah. How are you? I'm Karina. I'm Rashid.
And we're going to bring them back a little bit later during the Q&A in case you have any questions.
Bye.
But just what we wanted to let you know is we're very, we're not really a hardcore outdoorsy family. You can see our kids' interest vary greatly. While we always have enjoyed doing things outside, we've always dabbled. We haven't had any hardcore training or experience. And the idea here is that if we can do it, certainly anybody can.
So I always recommend just start. Check out your local hikes, find the nearest MST trail. And the idea is to get used to walking or hiking, starting with flat, easy trails out to longer distances.
In terms of what to bring, water is definitely number one on the list. On shorter hikes, you can bring just a simple water bottle. We found that in the summer months, especially in longer hikes, we would like to bring a water backpack, like a camelback, but just start with whatever you have.
And for food, you don't need a grocery bag full of food. We just pack light, a snack of your preference, and a simple lunch.
In terms of gear, again, a backpack can hold a few things you want. A small first aid kit, maybe with some band-aids, some duct tape that fixes problems on the fly, rain gear, which we'll talk a little bit more, and layers and gloves. The most important thing here to stress is have some comfortable shoes that work for you. It could be boots, it could be old tennis shoes, and having some nice wool socks I can highly recommend with the moisture away from your feet, whether that be sweat to prevent blisters or if you got caught in some water. Wool socks, not cotton, will really save you.
Yes, that's the big
want to add that if you do get wet, you get rained on, it's good to have an extra change of clothes in the back of the car.
You know, there's no such thing as bad weather when you're prepared. Here in North Carolina, we're blessed with mild weather pretty much all year long. So being prepared, you know, for us meant in the summer months, hiking at higher elevations where the weather was cooler. And when it's cold and snowy and ice in the mountains, we can hike more towards the in the Piedmont and in the near the ocean, where it was a lot more milder. Having some rain gear, rain jackets, and rain pants really made rain hikes enjoyable and not wet. Having layers and gloves, you know, you may start off cold, but if you start in the wintertime or in the fall, you start shedding layers and you have a backpack to stuff it in. So when you're prepared, every hike all year long is enjoyable here in North Carolina.
Especially with kids. Driving out to hike. So when the hikes are a bit longer to get to, we enjoyed ourselves with podcasts. We listened to the Away Message Season 4 by Our State Magazine, which was wonderful to introduce us and the kids about the Mountain and Sea Trail. We learned about what is the trail, who's on the trail, trail angels, and it was just such a great introduction. And we just listened to various other podcasts of our interests.
And we also, one of our rituals going to the hikes was to read about that hike aloud in the car in the Great Day Hikes on North Carolina Mountains to Sea Trail. It's a great guide that gave a summary, a background of the hike, why that hike was selected, what's unique about it, any landmarks to look out for, any special geology. And we found that the kids really engaged and listened to that. And they started pointing things out to us during the hike that they read about that we read about in the guidebook. I'd also gave an overview of the hike in terms of distance and how and difficulty. With the kids, really, they started understanding what was an out and back hike, what was a round trip hike, and so that was very helpful to set expectations.
Planning for the hike. So, of course, you're going to check out the level. Is it going to be easy, moderate, strenuous? Is it going to be flat, rocky, etc.? And distances, you know, helps you plan out for the number of snacks and breaks you want to schedule in.
As well as how long to anticipate on the hike. You want to, you know, keep in mind that days are shorter in the wintertime, longer in the summer. So the distance and the strenuousness of the hike will give you an idea of how long you're going to be out there for. Whether we talked about having rain gear, layers, and gloves, that really will make the hike a lot pleasant, not just for yourselves, but especially for the children. Unique features. Now, this is one of our favorite parts on the hikes. There's many hikes with water holes and waterfalls. The kids really look forward to these. We ended up bringing our swimming trunks on some of the hikes that were noted to have water holes, and that was a nice break. And we have some great memories of swimming in the ice cold water in the middle of summer. If you have hikes that have river crossings or wadings, you want to think about what type of shoes you are wearing, that they're easy to drain, whether it be sandals, and again, nice quick drying socks.
Here are just some pictures. Here's an example of a swimming hole that we definitely enjoyed. And here's our lunch break with a beautiful view on the, and you know, here's me getting some wraps ready.
And there's, of course, the unmistakable Jockey's Ridge State Park. And we were lucky enough to see a bunch of elk on the Akanalufti Riverwalk, hike number 2.
So remember, just set expectations. The more you learn about the upcoming hike and the area, the more, you know, it will be a lot funner and, you know, a lot easier for the children and yourselves. Just try to remember to make connections of things that you read about and you heard about and you learned about across the hikes that you've already completed.
Many of the hikes do have information posts, which we would read about and engage the kids on. And I think the most important thing is to keep it flexible, go with the flow. See where your kids' interests are and let them lead. So get out there and enjoy.
Thank you so much.
Hi, we're the Wilson family, and we're excited to share our experiences backpacking.
I'm Christine.
I'm Geof.
I'm Claire. And I'm Sadie.
The first bit of advice that we have is to start early, start small, practice, and focus on positive experiences. Here we are with Claire when she was just 6 months old. We also made it a family affair. My mom's joining us here with Claire, and I was actually pregnant with Sadie. Around 2010, when Sadie was 6 months old, we took our first backpacking trip as a family of 4. It was quite the experience. We quickly realized that we needed to have a shift in our strategy. We were lucky to find this project called the Botany Goat Project that was hosted on the Roan Mountains as a volunteer activity for our family. We would visit yearly. We'd hike in about 1.5 miles, set up a base camp, and then volunteer with the goats. So it gave the kids a really great opportunity to be in nature, but also do a little bit of practicing with their hiking and gear. Here they are in 2011. Getting a little bit bigger, now they're able to walk by themselves. They can carry a little bit of gear. This is 2013. And 2014 was our last year. They had longer legs, they were able to carry even more, and they enjoyed their experiences up on the Roans. Another weird place that we liked to frequent when the kids were younger was Doughton Park. The Basin Cove backcountry camping area provides a wonderful area for families who are wanting to practice backpacking. There's wonderful history in this area. The MST is close by. There's lots of water. Our kids always enjoyed water. They got to practice even putting more in their pack and hiked in about 1 mile to backcountry campsites that were by permit only.
Here's some of our family-friendly backpacking suggestions. The Uari Trail, Stone Mountain, Pilot Mountain, Jordan Lake, New Hope Overlook, Wilson Creek on the MST, and Panthertown Valley.
Those are some of our experiences that helped our family prepare for our section hiking that Mountain Sissy Trail. Now we'd like to show you how we prepare for multi-day backpacking trips.
Mom usually spearheads the planning and does a lot of research before we leave. We prefer paperback guidebooks. The MST guides and website are excellent. We often work through an outfitter that provides shuttle services for our vehicles. We recommend you connect with local trail guides and rangers. Do your best to study the section you plan to hike so you know what to expect from the terrain, the weather forecast, and you need to leave an itinerary with family and friends. There are lots to share about preparing for backpacking trips, much more than we can cover here today, but you're always welcome to reach out to us with any suggestions and questions.
Do you remember that section in Linville Gorge, girls?
Yes. Very tall and
really tough climb, wasn't it?
I want to start by talking about our clothing we bring on the trail. Everyone brings a waterproof rain jacket, great for wet, windy, and or cold weather. Unless it's summer and hot, we bring synthetic base layers and top and bottom. Great for sleeping, layering if cold, and they dry quickly. Avoid cotton because it dries slowly. You need lots of clothing or changing.
You don't need lots of clothing, right?
Yeah. You don't need lots of clothing or change into new clean clothes every day. All clothing packed in waterproof Ziploc bags.
That's right, Sadie. How about your footwear?
Comfortable, rugged shoes, 3 pairs of socks, wool/polyblend. Keep 1 pair for sleeping and last day hike. We love Gold Bond foot powder, applied many times a day, keeps feet dry and keeps blisters away.
Gold Bound is one of our favorite things.
Camp shoes like Crocs are great for river crossings and are easy to wear at camp.
It might feel like our packs are bigger than us, but a good pack can make carrying the weight manageable. Sadie and I had small packs first, carried essential items like some clothing, snacks, raincoat, camp shoes, and a headlamp. As we got older, we were able to carry more. Now I have an ossuary pack that I will use through my teen years. Mom and Dad carry most of our gear and food. Their packs are heavy, but we try to purchase gear that is lightweight and made for backpacking.
We also look to buy a lot of our backpacking gear used or from consignment stores. We also hand down our gear to other friends and family with younger children that might be able to use it for their adventures.
Sadie, Mom, and I sleep in our 3-person tarp tent. It's ultra light and uses a single hiking pole as weights. And it weighs about 3 pounds. It is water repellent and has bug netting. Dad prefers a hammock. We have synthetic or down sleeping bags that are lightweight and pack easy. We carry small pillows and we each have self-insulating insulated pads. It's very cozy inside once we're done.
Yeah, it's a really cozy sleep.
We carry easy to prepare, fairly lightweight foods. We like warm dinners and at least one tuna lunch. Crackers and cheese pack well. We love sweets too. Everyone puts a special candy and we take a jar of Nutella. Our biggest dilemma is packing enough food to last 3 days.
That's for sure. Water, Sadie?
We prefer to use a water filter because it's fast and we can supply lots of water quickly. We each carry a hydration bladder like platypus because it makes it very easy to drink water regularly. Everyone needs a splurge, especially on long hikes. Here are some of our favorites.
Mine are Nutella, Uno, and a pillow.
I like a good fresh pot of coffee in the morning, so I have to have my coffee supplies.
I like to bring my drawings, pens, pencils. Sorry, that's what Sadie likes to bring. I like to bring my Crazy Creek pillow and my FM radio.
Speaking of rewards, it's always motivating to have a reward after we finish. Once it was spring break and we were headed to the beach. After finishing our hike, we loved seeing the sandy beach near our street. Other rewards are 0 days at camp. No hiking days.
We really enjoy observing nature while we're hiking, seeing the beautiful wildflowers and cool things like this neat pine cone.
We especially enjoy beautiful vistas and views.
Limbo Gorge was exciting, and yes, the trail can be narrow, so watch your children.
That was you like 3 years ago, I think, Claire, right?
Yeah, we just came off of a very scary section, and this is what we got afterwards.
Yeah, because we went the opposite direction, so we got the sign when we were supposed to get before. 3 years, 3 trips, and we successfully finished segment 4.
This sign hangs in my office. We hope you will walk with the dreamers, and Geof and I wish to thank Claire and Sadie for going along with us as we follow our dreams to spend time in nature. We're so proud of your hard work, girls. Thank you for spending time with us. We look forward to answering your questions in a few minutes. Bye.
Awesome. Hopefully everyone enjoyed those videos. I know I most definitely did. And yeah, just like Christine said, to finish off, we really invite and encourage your questions. If you have a question based off the videos or just your general interest and knowledge, feel free to type them in the chat box. But we have a few questions that we came up with prior to today's session, and I am definitely really interested in diving into those. So yeah, at any point, feel free to drop a question in that chat box, but I'm gonna start with a question that's for either family. What were some of your favorite hikes and why?
El-Genks, you want to go first?
I really like the Little Gorge
Okay.
Lord, yeah.
Trail. How it was. I like the falls the best because the water. Because I like it because it have the water involved.
Nice.
How about y'all?
We really liked Linville Gorge as well. Remember when we crossed the Linville River?
Yeah,
Remember
that's
that?
fun because you can, it's like a little break because you have to take a break, and then once you cross it, you also you're wet because you were just in the water, so you do have to dry off a little bit. So it's just a little break for you to, I guess, cool down and maybe have a lunch or a snack.
I'm curious, I was climbing the chimneys at Linville Gorge with gear. I mean, we did it, but without gear. So I can only imagine how fun that was with gear.
Yeah, so we crossed the Linville River and then came up the east side of the gorge and spent the night kind of on that side before you get to that area.
Okay.
And so it was a little windy, and we were surprised when there were people actually up there climbing that day, because we wouldn't have been wanting to be up on the rocks like they were. It was a little chilly and windy, and yeah, with packs, it was like they were saying, it was a little precarious going through there. And then we see the sign afterwards, closer to the parking lot, watch your children.
I've been in Stone Mountain.
Yeah.
So Stone Mountain, right? Is that what you said? Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That is really pretty. We went there a really long time ago.
Well, I guess speaking of watch your children, I guess this one's more for the parents. What are some of the safety precautions that you all have to, go over before the hike, and then, I'm sure reminders throughout the hike. So yeah, if the parents could kind of give us an insight as to some of those details.
So since there's 6 of us, we can tend to spread out. So we'll have some far ahead of us and some behind us. So we always just try to tell the kids stay within arm's length of each other. So if anything happens, that we are completely aware of. I mean, once I was hiking and I guess I brushed up against a wasp hive and I got stung. But, but we would need to know what's going on, if they weren't near us. That kind of stuff.
Yeah, and for the backpacking, that we've kind of learned and developed some of our techniques over the years, but especially as the kids have gotten more independent in their hiking and we can spread out a little bit, we have some trail rules. Like if we come up to some type of intersection or where the trail seems to split, or you're not really sure, we have to stop and wait for everybody to gather together. If you have to pop off the trail because you need to use a restroom or you're going to go look at something, you're supposed to put your hiking stick or your bandana tied to a tree, so that it's pretty prominent, so we know that somebody's there. I took the wilderness first aid training course to help me feel more prepared for backcountry emergencies. Hopefully we never have to use those, but some first aid training. And the kids get really involved with reading the maps and deciding where we're going and understanding the geography where we are, which I think helps them to be more comfortable with the space and safety. We have a whistle, right? When do you use your whistle?
If you're lost.
If you're lost, it's your 911 whistle, right? No other time. Mm-hmm.
That's cool. My backpack has a whistle built into the one of the straps, so that's a cool feature, cool safety feature to look out for. Yeah, I guess going off of that kind of tangent, how do you, I think you both sort of mentioned having, affordable gear and sourcing, the gear from places that, it's easily accessible, and maybe passing it down to others. Can you both, I guess, talk a little bit more about, what recommendations you have for gear and obtaining gear, and then maintaining that gear throughout your trips?
So I guess we can start. For us, right? We want to stress, right, when you're doing day hiking, there's not a lot of gear, and so the gear you have is probably the gear that's good enough for day hiking, especially when you're getting started. And as you progress miles wise, you'll start realizing what you need to change. So you don't need to do a lot of super prep. You don't need to spend a lot of money. Your first hikes simply just need to be with whatever you have within kind of some of the parameters that we had in our video. And then as you start learning what you need, one thing we really liked was the REI garage sales. And sometimes there's some absolute steals there. And we've planned ahead, right? When we've seen some really cheap but good shoes, and we have plenty of kids to wear shoes, and we'll buy for several years in advance. Like when certain shoes were like $3 and $4, you can get a big bang for your buck there. So, and then obviously we hand down, poor Rashid doesn't often get the new stuff, but that's some of the stuff that we do.
Cool.
Yeah,
What about you, Wilson's?
Similar strategies. We try to buy used when possible, and always keep our eyes open for gear that we might need, or things that we can grow into over time. So we have a big bin of various things that we can dig into as time goes on. So that's been really helpful. I think we repurpose a lot of stuff. So for example, when we use the hydration bladders, but it's just as easy, economical, and useful to just use like a recycled Gatorade bottle, or bring a drink and then use that for your water after, or to look at the gear that you have, or just the clothing that you have at home, and focus on a really solid layering system. So we'll bring, the fleece kind of pajama pants that the kids wear any time of the year as, their warm layer if it's that time of the year. We have our base layer, kind of like long john type synthetics, that if you put the top on with your, short sleeve top and a fleece top and then a rain shell, you've got a pretty tight system for cold weather. And in the morning times, that kind of thing. So depending on the weather, we try to really just dig from our closets. And as we were saying in the video, we really try to take care of our feet. So good footwear, and that's different depending on which one of us it is. We can even just wear, our sneakers that we wear every day for gym, but wool socks, and like we said, we really like Gold Bond foot powder. It's really helpful.
We're gonna add to our kit now.
Yeah, that's a really good tip. I'm gonna add that to my repertoire as well. Cool.
It's a very odd thing that we always need to bring, but it's very useful.
Yeah, it takes care of your feet, and your feet are really important for your hiking. But we buy a lot of stuff used. We pass it down as well, and we focus on like a few key items. Like a really good rain jacket can be so useful in lots of different ways. And our sleep system, making sure that we have an insulated kind of layer, and then our sleeping bag will likely put more money into those types of purchases, and then repurpose other things.
Great. No, I think that makes a lot of sense. Okay, well, we're getting some questions in the chat, so I want to make sure we get to those. And I also have a few more questions that I wanted to get to as well. So we have about 20 minutes left. So, you know, if you're tuning in and you have those lingering questions, make sure to get them in the chat. So the first question from the audience is from Jerry. And they want to know, you know, did the Wilsons hike the entire Mountain to Sea Trail or do any of the 40-day hikes? And then furthermore, is there anything unique / quirky you've enjoyed from any of those experiences?
We have not hiked the whole MST, or to my knowledge, I don't think we've hiked any of the 40 hike challenge, but we've probably done a few, but I'm not sure. We haven't really gone out saying, okay, we're gonna do this hike because it's in the 40 hike challenge. It's just if it's along the trail or it's a fun spot close to us, then we'll go and do it if we want to go hiking one day.
Yeah, I think we've done some of those just by means of the ones that we've prioritized. So we did all of segment 4, which encompasses Linville Gorge. So it's from like Grandfather Mountain to Highway 181, I think. So
Graveyard Falls is on that too.
Say again?
Like Graveyard Falls is on that section 4 as well.
Yeah. So we've done a few of those, hiked there of the 40, and then we've done a good bit of the section here in the Triangle area, and I think there's a couple of them that are on there.
Yeah, I'm interested. I know that El-Genks, you all have done quite a few of the 40-day hikes, correct? I'm curious to hear your thoughts and, you know, how you enjoyed that and what unique features stood out to you.
Yeah, so we did all the 40 hikes in the challenge, and it's really great because it was very diverse. There's a lot of different things to see. I think there's a lot of history. So we were remarking at how there's like Civil War history, there's Revolutionary War history, and what's encompassed. I think one of the oddest things we've seen on the trail was cows. And there's actually several places to see cows, but the most surprising place we saw them was at the Moses Cone house towards the top of the mountain, right? So many times we've seen on the Blue Ridge, there's some like, I guess it's like pastures that back up to it, but we were surprised when we were climbing up this mountain or hillish mountain to see a pasture of grazing cows on top of Moses Cone house. So I don't know what else. Do you guys have any other things? Yeah, go ahead. Not a question, but anything unique you saw? What's a unique thing you saw?
Elk.
Yeah, elk. Yeah,
nice. That
was really nice. Yeah.
The different mushrooms, because I get to see all the different type of mushrooms.
Oh, what about the lizard?
That's a good one.
Yeah, the
salamanders. Yes, there's a lot of salamanders on Stone Mountains. That's what we remember seeing. It was kind of like a wet day, so they're all out.
You see different colors on each one.
That were red.
Yeah, those are salamanders.
Nice.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. I can tell we have some animal lovers, and that's great. I guess, you know, from being out in nature, it sounds like you have had that historical, you know, piece, learning about the history of the land and historical events that happened, but then also that exposure to animals and nature. So that's great. And I guess another question that I wanted to make sure we covered were, you know, when you're doing these hikes, are there any, you know, unique rituals or different themes that you go through when you're, you know, going through all of the hikes on the challenge?
Yeah, I think in terms of, right, so it's funny when we read about the hike ahead of time, and so that was one thing we always did, and we kind of would plan it out a little bit of okay, this is after this many miles is going to be break time, and break time is like Cliff Bar time, and then we're going to stop for lunch. So people got really engaged, and it's funny how elastic that could be, right? on a small hike, everyone's looking forward to break time after 1 or 2 miles. On a 16-mile hike, it was fine. We could go 6 or 7 miles before anyone was really hungry for break. So kind of having those milestones, talking about those milestones ahead of time, and the boys have GPS watches, so they were able to track, understand, and they were engaged. They knew that
steps.
Yeah, to see how many steps they're taking. And the Garmin. So that it got them engaged to what's going to happen, and some sort of sense of planning together what we're going to do.
And like elevation gain and stuff like that. So they learned along the way from their their information they're getting and the experiences and
Yeah.
And the difference is, right, they often would hike about a mile more than us just because
Oh yeah.
we're going straight and they're running around. So it was often a half mile to a mile more than us.
because we can never stay like within arm's distance at any point. So
That's awesome. I guess Wilson family, the same sort of question for you all. And really, I think the El-Genks just touched so eloquently on, once that fatigue sets in, or, resistance to hiking after sort of the novelty wears off, what kind of things do you all do to keep everyone motivated and engaged?
A great question. I think, over the course of the years that we've been backpacking with the girls, we've had to adjust like our strategies and our goals. And so we really try to make it a positive experience for them. And that means being very realistic about how far we can cover. Geof and I would often want to kind of reach further distances, or the waypoints that we were looking to go to, and it's just not realistic. So we would always focus on making sure that the kids challenged themselves, but also enjoyed it. So stopping and making sure that we're taking in the just all the sights and scenes that are around there, and making sure that their comforts are taken into consideration, and foods and stuff. And they're very much involved in the planning and the packing, especially now that they're a little bit older. They can go and gather together their gear, and then we review it, right? So that you can kind of, have your stuff, and we have some splurge items that we make sure that, we can break up the days with. But just setting realistic expectations, I think for really hikers of any age. Years ago when Geof and I started hiking, we would do the same thing, like, oh, we need to make it to here tonight. And we quickly learned that we just needed to adjust our way of thinking and just say, okay, we'll see if we can get there. There's a lot of terrain between here and there. And we've had some very challenging days, even as I was thinking about the Linville Gorge area. It was early spring. We usually hike about this time of the year, and the tree cover is the leaf cover is not out yet. So it was really exposed. It was hot when we were there. There's a lot of burned areas where there were wildfires, and that hike off Short Tough Mountain was really, really challenging. So we just had to kind of take breaks and keep encouraging each other. And we have a little radio we pass back and forth sometimes too, so people can listen to music.
Nice.
I think Karima had a question related to that. Did you have?
How many miles until you take a break?
You want to go ahead?
Yeah, girls, what do you think? Sadie?
We don't really say like we're gonna go this many miles and we're gonna take a break. It's just like if we need to take a break, or if we just like crossed a river or something, then we'll take a break then. But yeah, like whenever like we feel like we just need to take a break.
Yeah, usually one, kind of mid-morning after we get on the trail. And I'm notorious for wearing too many layers when we head out of camp, because I don't like to be uncomfortable. And so then I have to stop 20 minutes later and shed a layer. And so we don't really have a, specific schedule for breaks, but we do try to get get a little bit down the trail before we stop, because you have to take everything off.
Make it to the next goal along the way, you know. So, you know, there's a creek crossing and then there's a mountain you have to climb. And so, you know, maybe trying to put off that break if you're going a little slow to make it to the top to enjoy the view, rather than stopping for the break halfway up and then taking another break at the top, you know, within reason. If somebody's, you know, obviously feet are hurting, blisters, you know, really hungry, need water, you know, take the stop, do what you need to do. But if it's just a little bit of, you know, need a little mental push, maybe, you know, try to encourage them to go ahead and make that goal to the next stop or whatever you had planned.
I think that's a great point. I know we use that a lot, having goals of, hey guys, we just need to go a little bit longer and we'll see this landmark. And that's amazing what that'll do.
Yeah.
Right to the mile marker, for motivation.
Yeah.
Small, digestible goals.
When they were younger, it was the Dora the Explorer, you know, the 3 goals along the way, you know, river crossing, mountain climb, you know, road or whatever, you know, parking lot. So,
well, I think that like brings me to one of the questions we actually got in the chat, because, you know, it seems like you all have to be flexible when you're, you know, hiking and keeping everyone motivated. How does that work when you have a specific, you know, campsite or something that you've reserved in advance that you need to get to? Does that ever come up? Is there any stories that you have from that sort of situation?
Yes. Yes, so again, back to kind of what I was saying earlier, we set pretty realistic, I guess, just from practice, goals for where we think we can camp. And that's part of the research ahead of time, to figure out, like, where's their water, where is their camping, where do 2 meet, and how can we do that with our the amount of daylight and the timing in terms of where we are. And so there's a little bit of strategy there that, you know, sometimes we just have to dig deep and push a little bit further and take a little break. And we've even, you know, had a little meal, like if we need to hike a little bit further into the day, just to give each other and some encouragement. On our last hike, as we were coming along the Blue Ridge Parkway, I'm trying to think of where we started that day, but we had a camp spot in mind that we thought we would find near water, and we were working towards that, and it never materialized. I still to this day have no idea where that campsite was in the guidebook. Maybe my guidebook was outdated, maybe something else happened, but we just kept walking and walking and walking. And then it was like starting to get to be dusk. And then it was like starting to get to be dark. And I've never hiked with a headlamp before, but we ended up all having to wear our headlamps. And we were
was
just
so scared. She was like, we're lost. We're just lost. She was just so scared.
Because I saw this, it looked like a lantern, but it was a Forest Service road, so they had like a shiny reflective thing on a gate.
Oh, that's
and I had no clue what was in front of me, and I'm like, I don't know what's in front of me. There's something shining. I don't know. I'm scared.
So that was probably, I think, to date, that was our longest and most
It was like
trying.
17 miles.
Yeah, we hiked a really, really long way that day. We almost hiked everything we had planned for the next day because we missed that stop. But we found a place in the dark to camp. It was about 9 o'clock at night, and we got right into our tents. And the next morning, we woke up to this beautiful camp spot, and we stayed there all day. We zeroed there and didn't go anywhere the next day.
That's the picture where I was drawing Claire was, and then the picture where we were laying on there.
Yeah.
That sounds like quite the adventure. El-Genks, do you have any stories like that? I know it might be you know, different just based on your different experiences, but anything where, you know, maybe something goes wrong and you have to kind of adapt on the fly.
Yeah.
I felt that rain.
Yeah. I think a couple of things, right? So we did the Linville Gorge hike, which is, so it was out and back because it was Corona and there's no shuttle service. And we, you know, we had done like 12 and 13 miles before, and we figured, okay, we'll start early and 17 miles, no problem. I don't think we took into account, you know, the elevation effect.
Oh.
And also it rained really heavily.
Yeah.
And so we had some defective gear.
I mean, it was just
there's a stream.
Yeah, the trail turned into literally a river.
A river.
Wow.
Everything was soaked, all of our boots and socks. We got to the side of like
the chimneys.
The chimney, and then we just like wrung all of our clothes as much as possible. And like it was like so many things was happening. I was getting like a message. I was trying to make sure my child was in a certain like outdoor activity. It was like it was just all happening at once. So then that was like one of the first time we really knew that, you know, getting the right wet gear was important, and just really being conscious of how the weather can fluctuate so quickly. So because there was also another experience where we hiked on the Blue Ridge, I believe.
It was Limburg. Well, like the weather forecast was like 15 or 10% chance of rain. So we only had one backpack at the time, and so we didn't have rain pants. And so we realized that was the importance of, you know, just stuffing those rain pants in the backpack. You know, anyway, because it did rain, even though it was a small chance.
Yeah,
and I think on that hike as well, just kind of taking into account the miles. You know, it was getting dark, similar to the Wilsons, and we didn't have any lighting gear because we really underestimated what 17 miles was like. But so we were exhausted, and we finally make it to the car just, you know, after dusk, and so that was, you know, we learned a lot of lessons that day.
Yeah, that's also a big adventure, but you know, it sounds like that, you know, relief or joy you have when you get out of situations like that always, you know, makes for good stories to tell and things like that. So, okay, we're winding down on time. I have a few more questions that I wanted to get to, so maybe rapid fire starting off now. So we got a question in the chat for, you know, people in the Triangle area. What are some of your favorite family hikes that are around the Durham area?
I know that's where you started, right? El-Genk family, that's where you started. Which ones have you liked?
Eno.
Yeah, the Eno is great. There's a lot of stuff to see on the Eno. That was, you know, there's many sections there. Just actually any of it is great.
Yeah.
What about in this area?
I know that we've enjoyed the sections that are kind of like from the Eno around Falls Lake, going to the Falls Lake Dam. And then we've biked the Neuse River Greenway section, which is like Falls Lake south to the Johnston County line. And we're looking, we're trying to figure out how to do it, but we would really like to do the paddle option for the MST. But there's a lot of like planning and logistics that are new to us, which is exciting since we've been doing the backpacking for a while. But I think any of those sections.
That seems very interesting. Try and take some paddling.
Maybe we could do it together.
Oh, that would make for a really good panel next year. So we'll have to be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, so that, you know, the mountains to see through like around Falls Lake from Wake County into Durham County is very easy to jump on and off at different road crossings. So we've done a lot of sections through there, like to Blue Jay Point, and those are great day sections. And there's even some backpacking through that area as well.
Awesome. Well, it looks like we're going to be closed out of our room here in about 30 seconds, but just wanted to, you know, thank both of the families so much for sharing their expertise with us today. It's been quite informative, and I guess the message that, you know, I want to really get across is, you know, this stuff is, you know, backpacking or hiking for kids, but really these lessons can be applied to anyone. And I think that's really important for us to take away from this. So enjoy the rest of the day.